Joining us to discuss policies we can expect under a second Trump term is New York Post swing state reporter Cameron Arcand. Cameron, thanks so much for joining me today on the U.S. Report. Some surprises, some not so surprises, but I want to talk about Donald Trump's border czar nominee, Tom Homan, who has issued a stark warning to anyone who plans to block immigration authorities from carrying out plans to deport, heaven forfend, illegal aliens. Have a listen.
It's a shame we have other governors and other mayors who are right out of the gate. I said they're going to push back on President Trump and what we're trying to do, especially for interior enforcement. Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation because we just finished a mass illegal immigration crisis on the border.
Tell me about the reaction to this here, because everywhere I look, everybody on the left seems to be losing their mind, even though, when Barack Obama was president, I think he deported something like 1.5 million people who didn't deserve to be in the country.
Yeah, I mean, deportations are not a new concept, and for some reason there seems to be a reaction right now that these are a new concept. There were millions of people deported under the Bush administration, millions deported under the Obama administration. So what we're seeing right now is once again another push to have people removed from the country, and they've already said that they're going to likely be starting with people who have committed more serious crimes. And I think we're seeing these questions and these speculation, the goal is to, separate families and these different ideas. And we're hearing these arguments from lawmakers, particularly on the Democratic side. And I think right now we're in a period of time where people are being almost overly speculative in terms of what to expect with this, in terms of what to do, when the reality of it is the border people voted based on the way the border crisis was being handled. It was one of the top issues, specifically in the swing state of Arizona and some other areas as well. And so I think it's a serious concern among the American people. Public polling does show still that mass deportations are heavily supported by a good chunk of the American people. So none of this is terribly surprising. The response, I think, from a lot of these Democratic politicians at this point could be arguably seen, at least by many, as premature at this point.
Well, not only is it premature, but it seems really over the top, and they seem terrified of the idea that Trump might actually do what he said. And I want to get your reaction to this. Have a look at these CNN hosts when Tom Homan says that he will put the mayor of Denver in jail if that mayor does not cooperate, as the law requires, in helping with deportation efforts. Look at this.
Me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail.
Oof. The look on their faces was absolutely priceless there. Why is it, though, that when so many Americans say illegal immigration is a problem, not legal immigration, but illegal immigration, that this drove so many people to vote for Trump, that the Democrats, the people on the left, the CNNs, can't say, hey, maybe the people have a point. Maybe we should go along with what, God forbid, the people want?
Well, the reality of it is this. I spend most of my time in Arizona. I'm here in Tennessee for Thanksgiving, but you look at the drug trafficking issue and it impacts everywhere. I've had mothers whose sons have died from fentanyl poisoning grip my arm as they tell me about their kid that they lost from a fentanyl poisoning. And so, you see these issues and it trickles down to the everyday American. This is not just impacting border communities, although it's a massive issue there. This has widespread implications no matter how far away you are from the border. And there seems to be this lack of understanding, this gap, this knowledge gap of knowing that, hey, people are deeply concerned about this, and it doesn't always tie back to just, maybe I don't like these people that are coming through. There are serious drug issues related to the fact that the cartels are now using citizens going through ports of entries because those border agents are so distracted dealing with the influx of migrants at the border. Just a year ago in Lukeville, Arizona, we saw a port of entry closure as a result of the fact that it was so busy with the amount of migrants coming through this country illegally that the legal ports of entry in Lukeville could not even be maintained properly. This goes so far beyond what the rhetoric says in terms of real life consequences for people. And I think that's why the American people have said this issue needs to be handled very quickly.
And it does seem like there's a bit of a tide shifting on this here. I mean, sure, we've got the Denver mayor on the one hand, but we've had rulings this week that Texas could, in fact, install razor wire on its border, which, again, seems like total common sense. And even Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has gone back and started to moderate some of her previously very combative tones about fighting with the Trump administration on this. Are people starting to wake up, whether it's the judges or the courts or the media or the mayors, that, this is what people want, and actually that, you can't have a nation if you don't have borders?
Now, in Arizona, there was a proposition that was just passed with right around 60% of the vote that would allow local and state authorities to enforce federal immigration laws. It passed with flying colors. And, we have a Democratic governor in the state, and she will, depending on the ruling of, a similar Texas law in that court, she will then have to be okay with whatever happens next when it comes to that proposition, because the people of Arizona, which means it would have had to have been a good chunk of Democrats and independent voters as well, said, we need to be able to enforce our laws, whether or not the federal government's going to do it. And so there are some serious questions that are being raised now in terms of this actual enforcement. I think in the next Trump administration, you're going to see very swift changes. You're going to see most likely the return of a Remain in Mexico policy. You're going to see probably stricter enforcement from Border Patrol agents. I always hear this argument of, we need to hire all these more Border Patrol agents. The reality is, let's see what the ones that we have right now can do if they're not dealing with a massive influx of people to begin with. There's so much that can be thrown at the issue, but the real basics at the end of the day is, how do you make sure that the people, that you close up the border where it shouldn't even be open in the first place, so that way these agents can focus on doing their jobs.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Now, don't go anywhere, because Only in America is next. And if it doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, I don't know what will. And speaking of holidays, it's almost time to start sending out your Christmas cards. So maybe for the lefty on your Christmas, or shall we say holidays list, maybe consider sending them one of these.
I just wanted to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. We say Christmas again very proudly. We're going to have a great year. It'll be an incredible year.
That's right. In this house, we say Merry Christmas. And on this show, Christopher Columbus is a hero.